Yo, what's up everyone, Sir Toby here, back with another video, and today I thought I would make a little build guide about my Doryanis prototype Lightning Strike champion thingy that I've been playing for over a week now, and that I, briefly showcased in a video about this shield like a week ago. This build has, gained traction over the day yesterday. I was still kind of procrastinating and working on this build guide. And since then, someone else has, showcased it against Uber bosses with a setup that's a little bit different, a lot more damage oriented because he's using the Perseverance build. But I thought I would still go ahead and, make like a build guide on this because it is, still an interesting build. I think that deserves more than just a showcase and to be accessible to more people than just those that can take a POB and immediately know what's happening. Alright, so let's talk about this build and the things that you're doing with it. So you're using the Mahuxotl shield, which gives you a whole bunch of bonuses. I think I ranted about this for 15 minutes in my last in my video just on this shield. But to give you the gist of things, the shield gives you a nice bonus of 5% maximum chaos resistance. You take 50% of your elemental damage as taken as chaos damage instead. It turns off your life regeneration, but you get life recharge instead, so it's like energy shield recharge. If you take no damage for like 4 seconds, you get like 2000 life per second back. That's only relevant if you take no damage for 4 seconds, but it's really nice if there's like phased bosses and you're super low going into the next phase. Most of the time that time is enough to get you back to full. There's a mechanic that your energy shield no longer mitigates your damage, but you have to fill your energy shield to get some more maximum resistance, because you get 5% maximum resistance if you've sacrificed your energy shield in the last 4 seconds. And then the shield also grants you overreach. So as you can see, I have 1414 energy shield, and the everlasting sacrifice on this shield basically says if you can fill up this energy shield pool, your energy shield gets removed, and then you get 5% all maximum resistances for 4 seconds. The way this is achieved in this build is via Ghost Shrouds. So whenever you are hit, you recover energy shield equal to 3% of your evasion rating. I think in my build, that's something like... thought I had more evasion rating. I should actually have more evasion rating for some reason, but yeah. It's enough to have it up all the time, so let's quickly just go into Delve to show you that one more time. I think I did that last time as well. So I'm just gonna pick a random Delve node here, and then you should keep your eyes on the top of the screen and on the bottom left of the screen. So I'm just moving blitzing everywhere. So this is the everlasting sacrifice. So whenever our energy shield is full, it gets sacrificed, and we get the everlasting sacrifice for 4 seconds. So that's basically the main idea here, to just keep up your pool like that. Now, if you build this way more offensively, like the guy from the Uber boss showcases, you will probably not be able to just stand in the middle of Delve monsters, but instead you will have to, actually move and stuff. Can I leave Delve? I don't think I can leave, just straight up leave Delve in between the node without logging out or something. So let's just finish this real quick. But yeah, the main idea is that this buff, which is maximum additional resistances, is kept up all the time as long as you're getting hit just from the Ghost Shrouds. Alright, so the key pieces of the build then obviously are the Doryanis prototype, the shield, and jewelry that gets you to minus 200 lightning resistance. So the Doryanis prototype says deal no non-lightning damage, so you can't do all elemental damage claws like other lightning strike champions. It says that your armor applies to lightning damage taken from hits. This is irrelevant to our build because we don't take lightning damage from any source. Lightning resistance does not affect lightning damage taken. Okay, cool. And nearby enemies have lightning resistance equal to yours. So because I have minus 200, which is the maximum, all enemies around us also have minus 200 lightning resistance. The radius of this chest is pretty much the entire screen, according to some thread I found on Reddit. I'm just going to believe that. And then we have to get all that minus maximum light, all that minus lightning resistance, and that is only possible because of the new jewelry, which you can get from the Lake of Kalandra stuff. So yeah, in this case, I have 3 rings that all have basically tier 1 lightning resistance reversed. This one is kind of trash. I still have to, get a better one, but this one has tier 3 lightning resistance reversed. And then the last piece of the puzzle is the lethal pride under Rakiata, which is also why we need so much minus lightning resistance on our gear, because it gives us the tempered by war keystone. So together with the 50% damage conversion to chaos from the shield and the tempered by war conversion of cold and lightning to fire, we are taking no more lightning and cold damage, which completely turns off the downside of the Doryani shield. Doryani's chest, I mean. But we have a 0.5 multiplier on our resistance, so it's twice as hard to move in either direction from 0 to a higher number. So basically, if I turned this off, you can see that I'm actually sitting at minus 412 lightning resist total, but because this is a 0.5 multiplier, you have to actually, get to basically minus 400 lightning resist, because it's twice as hard to move into the negative as well, because it's just, again, 0.5 multiplier. But because of this keystone, we can just completely ignore cold and lightning damage. Now, that obviously means that this build is probably not future-proof. If there's ever going to be if they're ever going to remove the Lake of Kalandra, which, I can very much see it not going core with the reception it received, then you will not be able to play this in the future, because you will not be able to get to minus 200 lightning resistance without the Kalandra jewelry. This is completely unprecedented. I think the last time we even had close to this much minus lightning available was in Scourge League, with the negative lightning resistance Krangles, and even that was not even close to enough to get to minus 400 lightning resistance without sacrificing pretty much anything. Because also you get like the duplicated upsides, so I have tier 1 life here, tier 3 life here, tier 1 life here, all of those things that you get the upside, and basically the downside is an upside too. So yeah, this build is basically, in my opinion, like anything with Doryanis, is like the number 1 build of Kalandra League, and then even more so if you're using this shield. Alright, so that is the absolute minimum that you need. So minus 280 negative lightning resistance from your stuff, I think, is what you need. You need the Doryani chest, the Mahuxotl shield, and the lethal pride. This I already talked about. And then the build itself is basically Lightning Strike Champion, but a little bit cooler. So you have 2 different... I'm gonna link you 2 different POBs. One POB is from the guy doing the Uber boss showcases, who's using Perseverance, and one is mine, which is using Mageblood. Obviously, Mageblood is going to increase the cost even more, but the shield is already super fucking expensive. Itself, Doryanis is super expensive. So this is not a build that you can just get up and running for like 20 divines, but more something you're looking at if you have at least like 100, 150. And obviously more if you want to do Mageblood. Now, mine, as I said, is, entirely based to make me way more tanky in Deep Delve. I could obviously optimize this build further, but yeah, this is just, in my opinion, I like mine better because it's more defensive, but if you want damage, then the other guys is way better, obviously. So yeah, so that also means that, as I said, your claw can only have lightning damage, because you can no longer just add all that lightning damage. And then your ghost shrouds, you get to get your maximum resist from the from everything else. So let's talk about gear. So in my opinion, life, resistance, and stats is enough to start out on gloves, boots, and helmets, which is the pieces that you don't need Kalandra stats on, that you don't need a unique in, or that you don't need any of that special stuff. For my character, I have this. I still have to fix the prefixes on this helmet, so the prefixes are complete ass. I want aura, +2 aura, and tier 1 life, but that is expensive, and I got tired of trying to craft it. But you can get a lot of fizz taken as from your helmet. So in my case, I went with 7% of physical damage from hits taken as chaos from the implicit, and then 10% of physical damage taken from hits as fire from a delve fractured modifier that I then crafted the rest of. And if you have physical from hits taken as, you cannot do cold and lightning, because your damage can only be converted once, the damage you take. So if you have physical damage from hits taken as lightning, you will take that damage as lightning damage. It will not be converted to the rest of your damage. So have that in mind. You want physical damage from hits taken as fire or chaos. Ideally as chaos, but fire is also fine. Obviously, you also kind of want armor and evasion on all your gear, just to get that armor and evasion up. But there's that. I also, for the gloves, I went with an abyssal socket, just so that I could gain phasing on kill and corrupt the blood immunity. Those two were super annoying in Delve not to have. Constantly got stuck on like a random mob or something without phasing while running through the deeper areas, around like 900 or something, or like 800 something. And I hated that, so I wanted that phasing. This extra socket is super important if you want to put in something like a precision. So, it might not be the right choice for you to get that abyssal socket. In my case, I thought it was. And then for implicits, I went with pierce and strike skills, target nearby enemies, just for the clear. I've seen other people not do the extra pierce, but because I'm delving, I need all the pierce I can get, so I have, better clear. Because there's going to be hundreds of mobs sometimes around you, especially in something like Harbinger or Beyond Nodes, and you just need the pierce to deal any kind of damage to your enemies. For boots, I went with ailment avoidance, and then I get my onslaught on kill. If you're using perseverance, you just have onslaught. Yeah, and that's pretty much the gear. And then again, as I said, the mageblood you can switch out for perseverance, and then you need minus mana cost on one of your rings instead of on your flask, and you maybe don't want to run the ruby flask, but in my opinion, ruby flask is absolutely amazing, especially if you have mageblood, because it means 39% less fire damage taken, because you convert like half of your damage to fire. That's a huge defensive boost in my opinion. All right, so that is the gear stuff. For the claw, you would just want high crit, high attack speed, high flat lightning damage. So this is what my claw looks like. It's tier 2 lightning damage, it's tier 2 crit multi, tier 2 critical strike chance, tier 1 attack speed. And then I bought this for like 3 divines or something like a week ago, and I just slammed a Crusader orb on it, and crafted hits can't be evaded, so I don't need any accuracy, because it's very hard to get more prefixes that matter. Another thing that you can do is buy a claw with suffixes like this and like tier 1 lightning damage, and then you would craft suffixes cannot be changed and slam an iceling and hope that you have hit the 50-50, and then you can unveil lightning damage, percent lightning damage on the prefix, and then you can still craft the hits can't be evaded. That's what the Uberboss Showcase guy did. So that's the options you have on the claw. The Crusader Orb can either give you a critical strike chance or flat lightning damage, so It's not a bad option either if you are on a budget or don't want to spend too much on a claw. For gems, so there is some gems that are pretty much mandatory, I would say, and then some that are more a preference kind of thing. So for me, I'm going with Lightning Strike, Nightblade, elemental damage with attacks, added lightning damage, multi-strike, and Divergent Inspiration. The Divergent to have even more reduced mana cost from the quality. So my Lightning Strike is down to 2 mana cost. If I put on the Searing Exarch implicit, that gives minus mana or reduced mana cost. I could reduce my mana cost to 0, but then I would no longer get inspiration charges, which would be a lot less damage. So you obviously don't want to do that, but you know, it shows that with just those, you can get your mana cost very low. If you have the Mageblood Flask, if you don't have the Mageblood Flask, again, you would need minus mana cost on your rings. Or at least on one ring, and then double it with the Reflection of Kalandra. I don't know, something like that. So that is the main damage links. Then your main auras are Wrath, Determination, Grace, and an Enlighten. Your Enlighten 3 should be good enough if you have a massive Thread of Hope. A massive Thread of Hope is pretty insane on this build, and you don't care about the minus 20 because you want the minus lightning resistance, but you can grab you can get 8% mana reservation efficiency here, some attack movement, cast speed, life on kill, the spell suppress down here. These are not that great, but still good enough if you have something you need from your lethal pride. In my case, I needed strength. This pen is absolutely nuts. And then you get life up here, and then you can even get something like Sleight of Hand, which has, damage and attack speed. So this massive Thread of Hope is pretty nutty. But if you don't have that, you might either need mana reservation on Helmet, or you might need to grab even more, what's it called? A better Enlighten. So these are the 3 main auras. You can also add in Precision if you find the socket. I don't have Precision. It's especially good if you have a double mod Watcher's Eye, which is like Wrath Precision or something. Then it's basically, that's when it's at its best. And then you have Blood Rage. You always want Blood Rage. It doesn't really matter because you have Overleech, so as long as you're hitting something, Blood Rage is not going to kill you ever, even though you have no life regen. Defiance Banner you get for free from the Ascendancy. So this node that says increased aura effect also says that banner skills have no reservation. And then you want Assassin's Mark with Mark on hit to just get your Assassin's Mark out. You might need to live tap it if you have a too low mana pool, or if it would cost too much mana without it. My curse thingy oh, that's why I had lower evasion authority, because banner was on. My mark on hit cost 36 mana, but that is only because I have the Mageblood Flask that reduces the mana cost by 50%. So I would have to live tap it if I didn't have the Mageblood Flask. So keep that in mind. And then you definitely want Ancestral Protector. So the Ancestral Protector is pretty insane. Where is it? Ancestral Protector gives you just like 20% more attack speed. So yeah, that's crazy. It's especially decent against bosses, against any mobs outside of bosses. This is just gonna die. But yeah, against something that doesn't just AoE everything down around it, these totems are great. And then for movement, you want Whirling Blades and Flame Dash. My Whirling Blades even has a faster attacks on it because I don't even have a movement flask anymore because I'm just, Whirling Blades everywhere. And then from that point on, you have to decide what you like better. So I like a Val Molten Shell level 21, just because I don't have the buttons to press normal Molten Shell anyways, but a Val Molten Shell level 21 is absolutely nuts. With the amount of damage that you can mitigate, and it lasts for quite a while. So while deep delving, whenever there's like a damage spike or I know that like the next wave of mobs is going to spawn, I just press my Vaal Molten Shell and then I'm pretty much immortal for the next 9 to 10 seconds. But you can also just do a cast when damage taken low level Molten Shell, and that is still pretty good. It's all about preference. If I could add another button so that I can just run my Molten Shell, my normal Molten Shell, that would be great. So I might actually drop the Ancestral War Chief just so I can fit in the button for my more normal Molten Shell. But right now I can't. But I prefer a high level Molten Shell over a cast when damage taken Molten Shell. So next you have the, that's what I'm using, Ancestral War Chief, multiple totems with Calling Strike. I think your Lightning Strike hits twice if you're positioned right. Once with a melee hit, if you have the strike skills target nearby. So once with the actual hit, and then once with your projectiles. So there is something to be said for, on the tree, going all the way down here to get your point blank, to get projectile attack hits, deal 30% more damage at start of the movement, which would be a lot more damage for your projectiles. And then the Ancestral War Chief only gives you more melee damage. So both of those only affect half of your theoretical damage. So yeah, you can drop the Ancestral War Chief basically if you you know how to position perfectly and you're never just in melee range and stuff like that. I still like it. It's still pretty big boost of like 10% instead of 18% more or something in the end. So the War Chief has 18% more melee damage, so basically it's not an 18% more damage multiplier in the effect, but it's a 9% more damage multiplier. So I think it's still useful. I might be wrong on that, so correct me in the comments if this is actually wrong and the War Chief is completely useless because you only count projectile hits or something. But I think that's how it works. Next, you can trigger with Corrupting Fever. You can trigger your adrenaline. So your ascendancy that you take first to strike, last to fall says gain adrenaline for 20 seconds when you reach low life, recover 25% of life when you gain adrenaline, remove all ailments and burning when you gain adrenaline. So the main idea here is that you want to reach low life manually, so you can trigger your adrenaline, so you get the 100% increased damage. And the increased attack, cast, and movement speed, and the physical damage reduction. That's how you would do that, I guess, is by using Corrupting Fever with where is it? Corrupting Fever with Life Tap and Second Wind, and then your Corrupting Fever is a tasty 3,100 life cost. So you would go down, in my case, to 2.5k life. That puts you at low life. Then you would get 25% of your life back, which will put you at something like 4k, I guess. And then you would, just from attacking, you would pretty much instantly heal up again. And then you get, via this setup, you get the, what's it called? God damn it. You get the adrenaline buff up all the time. I'm not doing that because I don't want to click that when I'm delving. If you're not delving, this is an absolutely legitimate way to get your adrenaline. You might want to run a life flask to instantly heal up if you ever get low while doing it. But it lasts for 20 seconds, so it's pretty okay to do. Just to get that adrenaline, and yeah, that's something you have to consider as putting in your build as well. And if you do that, you probably have to drop the Ancestral War Chief as well. So there is that. So miscellaneous things. So penetration on this build is much worse than on other builds. So if we take a look at, for example, this node, 10% damage penetrating enemy elemental resistances is usually like 8%, 9% damage node on a lot of builds. In this build, it's a 3% damage node, which is barely more than like a travel node on these small nodes here that give crit. So it's not great, but it's still pretty decent, I guess. But something like generic attack damage and some critical strike chance is just way better than this penetration node, which is usually insane. So you will have to check your POB if it's worth taking even a single point of 10% penetration over something else. Next is obviously the adrenaline proc. You can do that if you overdo it and like press twice or something, or just somehow you're stupid. You might get one tapped in the half second until your life pool is full again after you start hitting the boss. Then element immunity. I am getting element immunity via this wheel here and my and this. So this is 20, 50, and then my my boots are another 54% ailment avoidance. So between all those things, I am 100% ailment immune. The guy from the showcase gets it by doing 20% here, more on his boots, so also the 35% ailment on the suffix, and then I think this is the perfect or highest tier ailment avoid on on the implicit, which is 67%, 97%, 87, sorry, and then the last 20 or 13% he gets from the perseverance belt, which has a chance to avoid ailments while you have elusive. I don't want to do that in Delve because I feel like there's a small window where I press my withering step until I hit again, where I do not have elusive, maybe. I might be wrong on that. Also, I would have to enchant my belt. That sucks. Instead, I'm spending like 3 points here, which is horrible. Ideally, I would want a cluster jewel which has Born of Chaos and what's it called? Elegant Form, I think. Yeah, Elegant Form, which is also 30% element immunity, and then I could cut out this entire part of the tree here, path down here instead, and take lethality or the Mark for Death, which would be much better, and which is what he is doing. But as it stands, I wanna be all the time 100%, no fucking, yeah, always element immune. Yeah, so that is that. For the Forbidden Flame and Flesh, I think Bane of Legends is pretty much your best bet. Bane of Legends, oh, you can't read that in here. But if we go here, Bane of Legends is more damage if you've killed recently, so this is while mapping basically. It doesn't matter that you don't take reflected physical damage because, as you remember from Doryani's chest, you are always only dealing lightning damage, and then you have the 20% more damage with hits and ailments against uniques. So that is against bosses basically. So, map bosses, you might even have 30% more damage against, but most bosses this is just 20% more damage against because you've not killed recently while killing bosses, unless it's something like Uber Maven, where there are like these mini bosses that spawn and then you get the extra bonus, I guess. But yeah, make sure to use this Timeless Jewel Finder for this jewel socket to get a good Timeless Jewel. So you can get a bunch of things like chance to deal double damage, a bunch of strength, and fist taken as fire damage to make you a lot more tanky. So there's that, and then yeah, that's about what you can grab out of your Lethal Pride. And yeah, again, this is the tree and stuff that the other guy was using, so he's getting some fire res, reduced extra from crit, even more fire res, some leech, chance to deal double damage, fire res, and fire res. So he is, for example, completely capping his fire resistance just from the Lethal Pride, more or less. I'm doing a pretty similar thing with strength, where I just get all my strength from this timeless jewel. So if I were to disable this, you would see that I'm losing 100 strength just if I didn't have this lethal pride. So this lethal pride can also be like a band-aid to fix some stuff here. So yeah, just use this timeless jewel finder. It might make gearing a lot easier. So lastly, I wanted to talk about making this build more tanky. This guy has it set up for, damage. If you compare the effective hit pool and the max hits and stuff, you can see that there is a massive difference between our tankiness between the two builds. So yeah, this is without a molten shell up. So my build is like, I wouldn't say twice as tanky, but a lot more tanky. And that is because I'm using Born of Chaos, which is 3% maximum resistance. So that alone is like a, I think 10 or 15% multiplier on the tankiness. I'm using the Ruby Flask with Mageblood, which is an insane modifier to tankiness. I have more life, and all those kinds of things that he does not do. So yeah, that's the tankiness aspect of it. I guess if you're Perseverance and you don't have access to Mageblood, this is a perfectly reasonably tanky build, especially if you get the 5% max resist from Mahuxotls while mapping. But overall, I think personally that I would rather never die than, get a little more damage. So this setup of his is perfect for something like bosses and for Perseverance. So, Graceful Assault, for example, is absolutely insane node that you can only make use of on the Perseverance, with the Perseverance, because you always have Onslaught. I can't do that, so I path all the way up here as well. But overall, double damage fortress, etc. is why he has way more damage. So this node, the cluster being, like this, where he's not taking more than just a few thingies here, not taking a medium, etc. All of that is why he's dealing so much more damage. Alright, so that should cover most things that I can think of. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Again, I'm going to leave both POBs and links to his showcase videos in the description. Either we came up with the pretty much same build simultaneously, or we were inspired by each other. So I'm not going to say that he stole a build. I'm not going to say that I stole a build. I think this is just a very obvious thing to do with both the Shield and Doryanis this league. So yeah, just take a build that already worked great, add a couple pieces in, and you have, obviously an even better build. So yeah, if you want damage and don't have Mageblood, go with his POV. If you have Mageblood and want to be super tanky and want to maybe even deep delve, go with something like this. Maybe don't, do this whole 5 points for ailment immune, and instead do mark for death, but or lethality. But that is up to you. Anyways, again, leave any questions, comments you have down below. I'm gonna try and answer them as always. I'm still small enough on YouTube to where I can still answer pretty much any comment. And yeah, I hope you can also experience this build. It's pretty great. And yeah, have a great day. Bye.